Great, great convos. We are here.
And that's how we start things. Look at this. I didn't even have my earpieces out. I'm ready to go. Welcome, everyone, to Great Convos, where we always say whether you agree or disagree, you can always find great convos. Happy Monday to you as well, Kathy, and everyone else who is joining us today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we always appreciate that. I am Roger, the first co-host, the second co-host of this show. And oh, yes, I am the well-being guy today. And of course, we got my co-host right there.
I don't know why you say you're the first one. I have to be the
I don't know why I
second one.
said that. I don't know. I was running and very flustered. Harry, I'm here. There we go.
All right, Roger, you're number one in my book, and I'm number two in your book. I am Alexandre Matte, and today I am the wealth guy. Roger, do you want to tell everybody why we have these names, wealth and well-being, today?
Yeah, because today we are talking about whether or not money can buy happiness. Does it buy happiness? And I think, Alex, this is going to be a great conversation from all different perspectives. And I'm really thinking as well that we're going to get a lot of conversation in the chat from our listeners. This one might be one of those that are very engaging, and I'm hoping so.
Well, you told me before we started that you already got some reactions, right? Some people who say,
Yes.
Of course not, it can't. Of course, it's true that money cannot buy happiness. More wealth doesn't buy happiness. Well, let's at least discuss it and see what happens, all right?
Of course.
Where do you think that comes from? Money can't buy happiness. So why do you think we say it?
I think the whole thing comes from the fact that, you know, when you have money, the idea is that allows you to be able to do more things than you ever expected to do. And somehow there is a correlation with that it brings happiness. And
right.
happiness,
well, even before we get to that, why would you say the line, money cannot buy happiness? I know we can buy things, but do things really bring us happiness?
Well, that's what we're here to discuss today, and we're hoping that everyone will engage in the conversation. But the reality is we can have our decisions or our thoughts and our ideas on whether or not that does happen. I have mine. Do you have yours?
Well, not only do I have my ideas, but I searched for different scientific ways of looking at this question. There was a really interesting study from 2010. This is, I want to get the names right, Kahneman and Deaton, 2010. What they found through their research is that money does buy happiness up to a certain point. After you get to about $75,000 of annual revenue, there's a plateau. You can't buy any more happiness. So money, as you said, it can get you things. You can have more liberty to acquire the objects or things or house needed to experience more happiness. But after a certain point, it seems to plateau and it doesn't make any difference. So, Roger, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this though, Alex. I mean, I'm okay. First of all, for me personally, I would say that the happiness comes more because I feel like I can do more, right? Not necessarily from the emotional side, but just feeling that I have a better lifestyle when you have more money, right? Because for me, I think that with happiness, it's about the other more important things: family, friends, where you live, your household, all the different things that you want to have. I think those are the things for me that bring happiness. The money brings me the joy of being able to go and do things that I may not have ever wanted or could have done. So I think the more money you have, it gives you more freedom.
Okay. Let's look at what Suzanne has written for us. Money does not buy happiness, but it does make life easier.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Right. So Like, could you imagine it being extremely wealthy? Would you be very much happier than you are right now if you could buy 10 different cars and have a villa in 3 different countries? Would you be happier with more things, Roger?
Well, I think what it comes down to is this: when you see those who are wealthy, yes, they've got all of the things that money can buy, but then comes the envy, the jealousy, the scrutiny that comes with it from others around them, right? You have those who always want to dip into your pocket, so to speak, whether that is family or friends, right? There are so many different variables that then make it hard to enjoy having that much money.
Now, this study from 2010 has been relatively well circulated because I've heard it in different areas. But one thing that you asked me earlier was why 75,000? What happens after that? What?
Mhm.
Well, there are different reasons why, and in fact, that number is not very precise. It's just the midpoint range between the amount of 60,000 and the amount of 90,000, where there seems
Yep.
to be that effect of plateau. But
Hmm.
Roger, there's something else. Now, this is really cool because when we are here to contradict or defy the conventional wisdom, money cannot buy happiness, because we can see that money does at least acquire you the ability to be happy, but up to a
Hmm.
certain point. So that study from 2010, could we actually question or defy that one? Well, someone did. So here's another
Please go
study.
ahead.
There's another study from 2021 from Killingsworth, and
Hmm.
what they found is that the effect of plateau at $75,000 is, to say it bluntly, wrong or not quite right.
Hmm.
So one limitation from that first study is that the they didn't go as far as they could in measuring happiness. The second
Okay.
study measured happiness, well-being, different factors with 30,000 different people in real time using smartphones. So
Mm.
on random random moments in their day, people would get uh, these questions from that study to measure
Right.
how they're doing at that time with many different questions. And what they've found from that study is that there is no plateau. It keeps going. So even over 100,000, over $200,000, happiness, well-being still continues to increase.
Really?
Yeah, well,
Really?
because
There's an old saying that says more money, more problems, Alex.
yeah,
More
yeah,
money,
exactly.
more
So
problems. And even what Jackie says, shout out to Jackie. Hello, Jackie, how you doing? When people have a lot of money, they fear losing it. It doesn't change life much. Same life, just different problems, extended problems.
now here's one thing that they've found also is that people who seem to be happier with more money are those who put more importance on the value of money.
Hmm.
So it might not be because they're having they're extremely wealthy. They are able to get more things, more objects, more material possessions, but that's not necessarily what brings them happiness. Part of it, part of the answer is just they have more zeros in their bank account. That's part of the answer. But there's
Hmm.
something else that was missing in that first study, and it's the difference between happiness and unhappiness. So of course, the article is much more detailed, but what they found is that and actually this was a third study, believe it or not, where uh, they they take both studies and demonstrate that
Hmm.
the first one wasn't wrong. It just wasn't measuring the same things. The first study was measuring. It was closer to measuring degrees of unhappiness.
Right.
So imagining being in total poverty, in misery, um,
Hmm.
more more money will get you out of that misery faster, but up to a certain point. Then, when you're completely out of unhappiness and misery, then uh, it's difficult to find real misery or poverty when you've got enough money. Does that make sense?
I understand that, but what about those who may argue the point that, you know what, they may not have a lot of money, but their happiness comes from being with their family,
Mm.
being close to the loved ones, and living each day to the fullest, no matter how much they actually have. What about that type of an argument where, in that case, they see that money doesn't buy them happiness? The people and the things that they have in their lives that are true and dear to them actually do.
Well, difficult to argue against that. I I could tell you that if I had more money, I could go see my family more often.
Hmm.
So that's one thing. If I was rich enough to be able to fly whenever I want to go see my family, immediate family and extended family, and any friends
Hmm.
anywhere in the world, the
Hmm.
the things that most make me happy, that maybe that's what we would do with more money. So it's not necessarily material possessions, right?
Hmm. Hmm. No, no question about it. There's an there's no real right or wrong answer. I mean, anyone can say it from both sides, and it would logically be correct. I could say the same thing, that if I had more money, that would allow me to go to different places that have I probably had on my bucket list, or invest in certain things that I would want to have, or to be a part of. There's always a plus to having more money, no
Mm.
question about it. But there also comes the factor that there is more problems that come with that as well. So can you still be happy in those moments fully?
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Well, Roger, I wonder if one way to answer this is with a question. The people who get more money, how do they get that money? If they're doing something that really is fulfilling, and
Hmm.
that they have a purpose in life, and that's how they are able to gain more income, then maybe that's another reason why they are happier. Not necessarily because of the money, but because of what got them that money.
Yeah. Well, there's the satisfaction of working hard to attain certain goals in life, and part of those goals that you attain may, in fact, lead you to having more money. No question about it. A sports star or a business individual who has really worked hard at their craft, and is able to reap the benefits of that. Sure, no problem with that at all. But again, what happens in that process is that you have the scrutiny. Like I said, there's the scrutiny, there's all the other things that come about it. And does there come a frustration with saying to yourself, oh, you know what? And I'm just throwing this out there. They just say, geez,
Mhm.
man, if I didn't have all of this, what would happen? Or that person who wins it from a lottery,
Right.
right? Someone who wins it from a lottery. Yes, of course, in the immediate sense of it, of the word, you become happy. But then there are all these people that seem to show up out of nowhere, and everybody wants a little piece here and there. And I recall, here's a true story. I recall there was years ago, a young woman, probably about 21 years old, won the lottery, a huge amount. I can't remember how much it was, but it was a very big amount, in the tens of millions or somewhere around
Mm.
there. And she went crazy within 4 or 5 years of it, because of how many people kept coming into her life wanting to take a bit of it, wanting a piece of this, wanting
Right.
that, never truly enjoyed it for what it was
Suddenly,
worth.
suddenly you have so many more friends.
It's
Well,
not my friend. It's just somebody I knew. Oh,
no,
yes,
I
yes.
mean that
Somebody
person. Yeah,
for that
suddenly
person. Yes, of
you win the
course.
lottery.
Yes.
Winning the lottery gets you more friends, not just
Yeah.
more money, but
No
not necessarily
question.
friends you want. There's another case that was actually made into a mini series on Radio Canada, CBC, and it's the case of les Lavigueur, the Lavigueur family. They won a big amount as a family, and they bought a huge mansion to live happily. But to say it very shortly, there were some conflicts inside of the family, and a lot of the money, if not most of it, went to the courts, to the systems, and to lawyers.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
they lost everything. So they're not happier from that money. So yeah, I suppose the way that you get money does influence how you are happy.
And I think that's what it really comes down to, the way in which you get it. If you worked hard, no question about it. You worked hard and you've earned that money, and it's a reward for all the hard effort or the hard work that you put in. No question about it. That does make someone happy because they've really put in the time and effort, as opposed to someone who just gets it like that, and then the instant gratification of it is great, but then all of the problems that come with that, you just said it, I've just said it, family just all of a sudden appears out of nowhere. Oh, we want a piece of that, we want a cut of it.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Actually,
Right.
and that I think it's the second study that also made the distinction between happiness, well-being, satisfaction. So it goes deeper. If we go back to the core of how someone is happy or shows it, here's Jackie who mentions this. Haven't they done
Mhm.
studies that show how children in very poor countries are often happier than in wealthy developed countries?
Mhm.
The many choices we have don't always help.
Correct.
Mm.
And we
So
did
children
we
might be
did
showing us
briefly
something.
we briefly discussed that before we started the show, in that sometimes they don't know any better, so they're happy with what they have.
They
They
don't know
know that this,
the alternative. Yeah.
yeah, they don't know the alternative. So this is their version of happiness, right?
So perhaps
So,
there is more truth to this saying than I thought before we started the show. Money can't buy happiness. It's not
mm,
money. What is it that Suzanne wrote? That money at least makes it more easy. It makes life easier. It at least gets the really big problems out of the way.
correct.
And once you're able to have your basic needs met, then you can probably find happiness within yourself. And perhaps children are the best to show that to us. We'll have to find out study, Jackie.
Yeah, for sure. If we can find out, that would be great. But yeah, it's an age old discussion that can happen and keep happening over and over again. For those who are rich, they may turn around and say, "Hey, I'm happier than I've ever been," and be very glad with that. For those who are middle class, they may say, "You know what? I'm happy, but I wish I could have a little more. I would be happier if I have a little more." And then there are those who maybe all they've ever known is being poor. And for them, their happiness lies with seeing the value of what they've got around them in that moment.
Perhaps even some people who have been rich, like the family that I talked about, les Lavigueur. It would be
Mhm.
interesting to know how they're doing now. But I do recall seeing an interview with one of the members of the family, and he talked about how getting all that money and then losing it makes him appreciate, the little simple things in life, and he is able to find happiness. So
So in
that's
retrospect,
right,
what you
exactly.
would think,
Sometimes you need
right?
to have something really bad happen to you to realize how good your life could be.
Hmm. It's strange how this goes, right? I think both of us would sit here in our present day and say, "Hey, I wouldn't mind having an extra few $100,000 here and there. That would be really good." But I don't know, Alex. I think I'm very happy knowing that if I did have it, here's what I'll say. Let me put it this way: I would be happy to have a certain amount extra and be happy with that, than to be worried about getting millions and millions. And not to say that I wouldn't want it. Let's be very clear. If it ever happened, I'm taking it. But it's more about, where is that level where you say, and you said 75,000, and that was just a kind of an average, but where's
And
that
that was in
level where,
2010. So imagine with
right? So where's that level now where the average is where people are most happy, that they feel, hey, I'm able to cover my bills, I'm able to take care of my family, but I'm still able to go out and enjoy the things that I want to have and to do. Right.
So I think we agree. It would. I mean, if
Did I
money
dump
falls
you?
out of the
Are you
trees, we
stumped?
won't refuse it. No, I'm very happy with what I have. I don't
Yes,
want
I
any
am.
more. Yeah. I don't know who would refuse that. Depends on what is the source of that money, perhaps. But if if it's acquired through honest work, then yeah, that could bring you more happiness. Now here's a
Jackie's
question.
saying, show me the money. Show me the money. But I still need my purpose in life, which is true.
Right.
There we go.
So I guess like many things in life, Roger, we should try to find that balance. On one hand, understanding that more money could buy you more freedom and certainly get you out of misery.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, be content, happy, find happiness from within with what you have right now.
Yes. 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 And if you happen to get more money, don't make it be the root of your happiness. Right? I think that's what it really comes down to. Don't make that be the root of your happiness. Still be appreciative of the things that you have, the people in your life, and just be happy from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no, no.
Oui, absolument. I just
Oh,
want to
there we
get,
go.
I must bring this comment here before we close from Elios, who says, money does not bring happiness if it's not in my wallet or bank account. Thanks for chiming in.
That's a good one. Thanks for chiming in. Shout out to Elios, who's always been there. Thank you very much for all our loyal listeners. Well, Alex, you want to say a last few words before I close off?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've discussed this saying, this popular saying, money can't buy happiness. We've seen studies that demonstrate that money can buy happiness, at least to a certain point. But I think what we need to understand is that it's sort of it's not completely true and it's not completely false. So what can we say? That it's a half truth? Money can't buy happiness? Sometimes it does. And at least a little bit can go a long way for you to truly find that happiness. So if we can help other people have at least that little bit necessary to get out of extreme misery and poverty, maybe there could be more happiness in the world.
Well said, my friend. Thank you to everyone who has chimed in. Like I said, we had a lot of people who have chimed in today and enjoyed the conversation. Keep the conversation going amongst your friends and family as well. Maybe that's a topic that you come around the table and talk about tonight. And until next week, please remember, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find great convos. Oh, and we have a special guest next week. So
That's right.
please, that's what I forgot to say. We have a special guest. His name is Damon Davis. You do not want to miss his story. We won't tell you anything right now, but we don't want you to miss out on our special guest next week. His name is Damon Davis. And you will really, really enjoy this conversation that we will have with him. So stay tuned for next week. All right. And in the meantime, have yourself a wonderful week. Keep the conversation going. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye. Great week.